everyone, my name is Andrew. If you don't know me, you should subscribe, but today I'm going to be doing a video that I'm very excited about, and it is going to be my best books of 2022. I read 107 books in 2022, so many good ones. I had so many 5-star reads, so it was hard to narrow the list down, and I could honestly keep going on and probably have like 20 to 30 books on this list, but I've narrowed it down to my top 5. So I feel like I did really good in doing that. I will give some honorable mentions at the end, but we're just gonna dive into the top 5 books I read in 2022. We're gonna start with number 5 and work our way up to number 1. So as we continue, I hope you can, if you've been watching my channel like all last year, try to guess some of these because I've talked about them a million times. They're not going to be anything crazy. Number 5 is Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I have The Traitor Queen with me here. This is book 2. I'm letting my friend borrow book 1 because I'm pushing my Bridge Kingdom agenda on everyone I know. I have only talked about the Bridge Kingdom a couple times. I've annotated this book, I've annotated the first one, and I think this series, but specifically book 1, I mean the whole series too, is so good. It is definitely a standout from 2022. I was blown away by just how good it was and how underrated I feel like it is. Like, I know people recommend it, and when they recommend it, it's people who love it, and then there's just so many people who haven't read it, and I think it is amazing. The Bridge Kingdom is a fantasy, an adult fantasy about a girl named Laura. She's a daughter of a king who sends her to go infiltrate another rival city, a rival kingdom, and wants to take them down from the inside, and she's been raised her entire life to be the perfect spy. So she heads out to the Bridge Kingdom, to Ithaca, a different place than where she was raised, and she is betrothed to Aaron, who is the ruler of Ithaca, and like, you know, a lot of things happen, and so it is a romance, but it is a fantasy, and there's betrayals and reveals, and just I feel like in tone for Laura's character, she's kind of like Selena from Throne of Glass. She's the closest to Selena that I have ever found in books, but she also has her own sort of spin too. Like, I don't want to compare her too much because Laura on her own is just a great character in general, and I did just love every aspect of the book, and I immediately had to read the second one, and it's just phenomenal. Okay, you have to read it. Moving on to number 4 on my list, we have Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. This book is literally one of the best pieces of writing I've ever read. I love it so much. I've talked about this one a lot on my channel as well. Not enough, because I think you can never talk about this book enough. I think everyone should read it. But it is about a character named Zishan who has watched her older sister be sent to be a pawn in a bigger scheme going on where they are from. There is a war being waged on their people, and so to fight against these alien kind of forms, they have pilots who generate chrysalises to fight them and combat them, and every male pilot needs a female concubine to balance out how the chrysalis works. And with that, Zishan has seen her older sister offer up herself and get herself killed. So Zishan vows to do the same thing, follow in her footsteps, and take revenge on the person who killed her sister. Along the way in this fantasy, Zishan finds that there are a lot of things that the government has been hiding, a lot of things that the rest of her people don't know, and she just is a very feminist character, a very rageful character, and somebody who is super powerful and inherits that power throughout the book and goes on a journey, and just the other characters in here are really great. The world is amazing, and it's very fleshed out. And I think a lot of what has stuck out to me in 2022 and a lot of my 5-star reads and what I have found that I liked is when a story is completely fleshed out and the characters, you know, you fall for them, you root for them, and you feel like they are very developed, and that's what I am after in my books, and that's what I found a lot in 2022. That was in Iron Widow as well. So number 4, love this. I love Zishan so much. My number 3 on this list is very surprising. I would have never guessed at the beginning of the year that this book would be here, but it is Felony Fortune by Chloe Gong. the first book in a sort of sequel series to These Violent Delights. I didn't particularly love These Violent Delights compared to how much I love Felony Fortune. In this one, we follow Rosalind Lang, who was a character in These Violent Delights, but now we are just completely following her story and the aftermath of some choices she made in These Violent Delights. But you don't have to read the other one to know or to go into this book, but if you do, it won't harm you. If you don't, it's okay. So she has to fake marry a fellow spy who is named Orion. Let's take a pause for Orion because I love him. But I think overall the character Rosalind is just such a angry girl, but she also is holding in so much and dealing with mistakes that she's made and things she wishes she could undo, and doesn't really know where to go from being on the bottom of her life and just being on the floor, having nowhere to go except to be a spy and like trying to find some purpose in her very long life. So we got spies, we got fake marriage, we have incredibly witty characters, and we have a lot of scheming going on the two sides of the spies and the missions that they go on. I also did get to meet Chloe Gong for Felony Fortune release, and she signed my book for Orion's #1 fan, because that's me. I am Orion's #1 fan, and it says welcome to the covert branch. So I love Chloe, I love Felony Fortune, and I can't wait to read the next one. Working our way up, now we have my #2 book of the year. Please don't mind the sticker scraps on it. This is why stickers do not go on book covers. But my #2 is Strike the Zither by Joan Hay. I was blown away by this book. I love it more than anything I've read in like 2021, 2020. Like, this was a release that I just think was almost perfect, this book. So Strike the Zither is about our main character named Zither. She is a strategist. She is orphaned in a war-torn kingdom, and so there are 3 different kind of empresses who rule over different factions, and Zither is a strategist for one empress. Well, she devises a plan because she is one of the best strategists known ever in the kingdom, and she goes to infiltrate a rival empress and dethrone her so that her empress can be the only one and be the successor. Okay, well, doing that, Zither learns throughout this book so many things. It is a young adult fantasy, but it is a complex fantasy, a deep, fleshed out fantasy. Again, it reminds me of Iron Widow just because of the like level of intensity of a fantasy world, and the like amount of world building that has gone into this book is insane. Zither learns a lot about herself. She meets another strategist, a rival strategist named Crow, who is her match in wit and cleverness, and I love Crow. It's not a surprise. But there is betrayals in here. There is gods and magic and suffering, and oh yeah, a lot. It's a lot more than you would think would go into this book. Like, I don't know, I didn't expect it. A lot of things that happened I didn't expect, but it is a retelling of the classic Chinese tale of the 3 kingdoms, which I didn't really have any background knowledge of, and now I feel like I've learned a lot and could read more into that classic and take the similarities and drawing like the connections. But even not knowing it, it's still a really exciting and fun read, and I absolutely loved this book. Go read Strike the Zither. I love Joan Hay in general. She is such a great author. Definitely underrated, and I recommend this like with my entire being. Like, it's so good. Going into my #1 favorite book of 2022, best book of 2022, I definitely think this deserves to be at the top and deserves the #1 spot, and I've seen it on a couple other of my friends' best books of 2022, and it makes me so happy because I just love to see it getting the recognition it deserves. But it's All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I know I said it about a lot of the other books, but I truly do think this book is a masterpiece. It's perfect. It's just everything. And Sabaa Tahir even recently won the National Book Award for All My Rage. And it's crazy because not a lot of people, I feel like, in the book community or like book Twitter, booktube, talk about it or rave about it or read it. But everybody I see that does absolutely loves it. And it got the National Book Award because other people like outside of this book community and booktube saw it for what it's worth and saw its value and what it does as a book. If you don't know, it is about Noor and Salahuddin, who are two Pakistani American immigrants, and they are going through a kind of friendship breakup or a tumultuous time in their friendship when they used to be best friends. They're both outcast in their small town, but even though they are kind of each other's closest friends, they've drifted away, and we're going through the book learning why and learning if they can ever find their way back together. It's a book about love and friendship and hardship and just I think growing up and realizing the world is a tough and scary place. And I think these specific characters, Noor and Salahuddin, already know that. They've grown up with a lot of generational trauma, I think, passed down to them. And I love that Sabaa Tahir throws in a lot of different aspects of real things that real people go through, not even just immigrants. I think anybody can relate to these characters. So if you don't want to read this because you don't think you relate, I definitely think anyone can take something from this book. Salahuddin is helping his family run a motel and trying to keep it afloat, thinking that that is the only thing he has going for him to keep his family astride in all of their many hardships. And then on the other side we have Noor, who wants to go to college, wants to get out of the small town, but her uncle is giving her hell for trying to better herself and trying to break out of history repeating itself, and her not really going anywhere like some of her family, like her uncle. I think reading this I was so emotional because it's just sad, but it's also just deeply moving. Like, I don't know if it's more sad or just that it is a book that goes straight to the heart, and I get so sentimental about it. It's kind of like a little jewel that I cherish, and I try to get so many people to read it because I feel like you can take away a lot and it can change a person by reading this book, and that's why it is epic. It is amazing. So definitely one of the best books I think I will ever come across in my entire lifetime. I'm very happy to be alive when this book came out. Like, it's that powerful. So go read All My Rage if you haven't, but I think a lot of people have. This book had a lot of fond memories. I got to read it in advance. I got an arc of it on Penguin Teen, and that was my first arc I ever got, and it was this book. Like, that's insane. It's so good. And I remember during that time when I read it, I loved it so much that I gave away 2 copies on my channel and on Twitter and Instagram. Like, I did a whole thing, a whole giveaway to just spread this book. I want everybody to read it, and so I've definitely been pushing that. But let me know if you've read it, because we can just, you know, freak out over it together. But that's it. That is the best book I read. That is all of the top 5 best books I've read in 2022. I have a little list of some others that were like honorable mentions. So The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang I thought was so good and surprised me, along with If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I really loved that book as well. Not Here to Be Liked by Michelle Quach was a great young adult contemporary that I loved. Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali, Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, and City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. The whole David Bad trilogy I thought was amazing. So that is my best books. Let me know if any of these made your list as well, or what did make your top 3, top number 1. Let me know. But that's gonna be it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.